and I think maybe at this point a lot of people already know this, but when he was younger, he was an Elvis impersonator in Hawaii.
Yeah.
What an odd job.
What an odd job. Which brings us to our topic today. You know, being an artist, you might have a lot of
odd jobs.
Thank you. And that's what we want to talk about, because it hasn't been all glitz and glamour, and it's still not glitz and glamour. And for those watching, you might notice me and Tasi are wearing the same shirt. This is our uniform for a job that we currently have, that we've had Tasi for how many years now?
Oh, man, like 12, like 15?
12? Yeah, I think this is my sixth, year.
Well, yeah.
6th year, 5th year?
In the kind of generation of work that it's currently doing, yeah.
But like being with the company, and we love it. We love the company. But yeah, it took us a while to get here. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Davied Morales. You can find me everywhere at Active Poet.
My name is Tasi Alabastro. You can find me everywhere at Tasi Alabastro. And this is
Art Time Job,
a support podcast for aspiring and working artists by us, aspiring and odd job working artists.
Repping the Red Ladder Theater Company, nonprofit.
If you're going to show up to work or play wearing a uniform, there's got to be a reason for it, right? Like, Facts. And I feel like even though the logo's tiny, it can get kind of lost. Like, I can look over and go, man, there's so many memories of like doing stuff and like creating. And for those of you who don't know what Red Ladder Theater Company is, it's a social justice theater company based in the Bay Area.
Out of Japantown.
And we do a lot of things that I think generally people don't get to see, which is unusual for a theater company.
Very. But we serve the communities that need it the most. We believe that creativity is not prioritized in communities like juvenile halls, senior centers, correctional facilities, aka prisons.
Yeah, incarcerated settings.
Yeah, even for
senior citizens.
Yeah, kids too.
Kids, yeah. So basically anyone that doesn't have the kind of education. What's the word I'm looking for? Privilege
to
access.
Access. Access is probably perfect for theater. Yeah. Because it I don't know about you, Tasi, but theater has changed and saved my life. So I love giving back this gift of theater and like seeing people's wheels turn, like have their inner child reborn right in front of me.
And see what's possible with like storytelling. Like when you're sitting there as an audience member and you're seeing how engaged people can be, and any given moment, there's a moment for someone.
Yeah.
Like it'll light up or whatever.
And it's also really cool to see. I mean, this is like in any writing workshop or any class, but like especially in the work we do, seeing like everyone gets the same prompt and how everyone flipped it so differently.
Oh my God. Well, it's that thing, right? Like open for interpretation.
Yeah.
So
what me and Tasi do there at Red Ladders, we're facilitators through these workshops. They're usually 2 hours ish. Some are like an hour and a half. Some are 2.5 hours. The average is like a 2-hour workshop. We travel to these places to teach these improv workshops, and we have a lot of fun. It's hard. There's some hard days, because obviously people are going through a lot all the time. But I would say through this job, I've become a more grateful human being, because there's been days when we're like, those Salinas Valley days when we have to be up at like 6, ready to go, getting there at 8, and I'm like tired, and I'm like, what am I doing?
It's the knowing that you have to do that consistently over, an extended period of time, that you don't have quite a deadline.
Yeah.
It can be really exhausting, I think. And it's not for everyone, I've realized.
Yeah, but then like we show up at some of these places and it's like 8 a.m. and these guys are like whistling, happy to like be at this workshop. And I'm like, this guy's in prison? And he's smiling because he's happy I'm here. Like, what am I complaining about, really,
Well, and so recently on my end, too, with the, as I'm teaching the senior citizens in Japantown, it's the first day of the week, and they also are going through stuff, right? And when they leave there, we always share, because it's not a big group, we share something we're grateful for. And that's how we do our closeout circle.
Love that.
And I love when they're just like, I love starting the week off with like this energy. It really carries me. I'm like, yeah. And sometimes, the reality of things set in. They're like, I don't know how much longer I'll live, but I feel so alive today.
Aww.
And I was like, my heart explodes, Anyway.
Yeah. Quick shout out before I get deeper. Shout out John McCluggage, founder of this theater company, and our fearless leader right now, Karen PM, who's holding down. She like makes all these things possible. She's also helped us get grants. She's definitely helped develop myself and a lot of the artists.
A lot of artists, yeah.
Yeah, within the company, and like be the best versions of ourselves and give, I know, people like me flexibility to still pursue all the stuff, because there's been, years when this is all I did, Red Ladder. And then now I'm at a more flexible spot because she can plug me in anywhere at any facility and know like he's got it now,
Yeah. Well, now it like fits in that like odd job category. Right?
Yeah,
you're like kind of just arriving there and being like, hey, I get to do this, like, or I get, I think it's all context, right? Like, I get to do this, I get to do this, or I get to do this.
Yeah. Because I remember when I was approached by it, was my college professor who told me about this.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was working at the bar, and
Tom? No.
Tom Goff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he had approached you.
Yeah. He emailed me. He was like, "Hey, I think you'd be great for this." And I got the email, and Karen's breakdown. I was like, "What?"
Oh yeah, that's right. I think this was like an early like push. Yes.
It was an early push, and I remember I was working at the bar. I was having a great time. I was just a bar back at the time, but like, the bar energy, young nightlife, beautiful people around. You know, I'm having a great time, and I remember in this time I was like, nah, I ain't doing that. And then within that year, I remember going to an improv workshop, and I ran into you at the Pair.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, we were talking about it, and you were like, you're good at improv. I was like, yay, I love doing it. You know, like, you should do this job I do, Red Ladder. I was like, dude, I got reached out, and I was like, and I was asking you so many questions because like, it's in prison. And you're like, yeah, but it's like, it's theater, it's whatever. And then
that's so fascinating because I'm so curious to see what it like. I want to jump in your memory of me.
Yeah.
At that time,
I thought you were great. That I will always say this. Like, when we do improv work, you're a great improv artist, period. But your imaginary object work is like planets away from anywhere I aspire to be.
Oh, dude.
I'm like trying to get to Mars, and you're already like in a different galaxy. I'm like, that is so real. I see it.
Down to earth.
Yeah.
Down to earth Mars girl.
Yeah. Whatever.
Thanks, man. I appreciate those.
Yeah.
Those flowers.
Yeah.
I'll accept them. Yeah, I remember that improv day just being like a circle. I felt so uncomfortable because verbal improv is not my thing. Like talking.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, object work, like set a scene, create a story without speaking. Happy to do it.
Bet.
Start talking, I get real shy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh no, now they're gonna judge what I say or whatever. Right.
I'm kind of the opposite.
This is why we have this podcast, bro.
I know.
I love it.
Yeah, I love just thinking of like the middle of like scenes are always the best place to start. Like, when you're walking by somebody and
they were roommates.
Yeah, no, and they're like, well, that's why I killed my roommate. And you'd be like,
right.
Wait, what did I just hear?
Yes.
And then like starting a scene always there. And like that always gives me such a good jumping spot, and like
I love it.
My scene partner be like, yeah, I would have too if they kept on eating my peanut butter.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
We just start a random story, and we're both discovering in the moment.
You laced the peanut butter too?
Yeah, I mean, he was allergic to seaweed, so
there you go.
Got him.
Poison 101.
Yeah, Poison 101, which I took at Hogwarts.
I did too. What? Did you have Professor Snape?
I did.
What a cruel man. I didn't. I dropped out.
Oh, maybe that's why.
Well, I got recruited into, he should not be named, but I couldn't hang. All right.
I got the flyer at the fraternity, the Gryffindor fraternity, but I was just like too scared.
Wait, the flyer with the green and the purple bezel?
Yeah.
I helped design that.
I knew.
I had a hand in that.
Yeah.
Do you still have a copy?
When people talk about the Griffin that dropped out, I didn't put together that's you. You were talented. You could have been something.
Well,
Now you're not.
No.
Anyways, improv, as we could do all day, every day.
Yeah. Please add some. There you go. Those of you who are listening, not watching, I have my wand, aka my pencil, and I'm a vidicadiving Davied over here.
Yeah. Hate when you do that when we're live. Gosh.
Welcome to our world.
Welcome. We love to play.
I think I cut you off. I apologize about when you were talking about Tom Goff and getting the message about Red Ladder.
Oh yeah. We did the workshop. improv random workshop, nothing to do with the Red Ladder at the Pair. And then a year later, I had a lot of family stuff going on with me, and then I got back to working at the bar I was working at, and I said, you know, why not? Why not? I'll try it out. And then I tried one day, and I will say the first day of Red Ladder was like my very first theater class, period, and it was magical. And I will never forget it. And it was like I was scared. They kept on closing doors behind me. I said, what if I want to get out? What if I want to get? What do you mean this is a level 4 prison? You mean there's no higher prison than this?
I forget that was your first day of any Red Ladder thing.
I had no training going in there. I was just like, going in there, and I was like,
I'm so proud of you, though. I remember.
Thanks.
I think I was still half asleep for part of that too.
You know, you were just like, this is another day for me. But I was like. But you know, it was great seeing the fact that knowing that everyone in prison is so segregated, and in that class they're allowed to mix, and the fact that like it occurred to me, you might walk in and judge people, but then as soon as you share a laugh with somebody, that is like a connection you make with somebody. Like, oh,
my heart.
Yeah. That's we made a connection, and you can't take that back. And I remember at the very end of my first day, it felt like it was a stage from a movie. I remember this Mexican dude went up to this black dude, and he's like, I know I don't talk to you on the yard, but you were hella funny today. And I was
my God.
I was like, yep, this is why I do it. This is why I do it.
That's why I'm here. So I got put here. You know, I found myself here. Oh my God, that's a great memory.
Yeah, it was. It was a great memory.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
I don't remember that last part. I remember parts of that your first day. I had forgotten that was your first any Red Ladder interaction. You know, because in my mind, I'm in this weird overlap where like people are still doing we were still kind of doing work in some of the schools, and we were doing work at Prush Park. You know, like that's still pretty strong in my mind, right? Like at that time, that generation was like Mia Tagano, Mary Mendoza, Lance Gardner.
Lance.
Yeah, shout out Lance. I learned a lot from Lance.
Man, me too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I was his mini me like by 8 years apart. We're like, Lance, love you. You're watching this, man.
And look at him now.
Me and him have some crazy overlap. Yeah, artistic director at
Marin Theater Company. Yeah,
hire
beautiful.
Me.
Yeah.
If anything, you're like, man, I would love to do this if I was younger. Hey, yo. There
you are. Who else was there? Carlos Aguirre.
Yeah.
Marisa Wanless.
MC
Gendel. Well, Gendel was
Gendel.
Yeah, Gendel was doing some Red Ladder stuff here and there. But no, like, you know, I'd forgotten that your first Red Ladder anything was when we really kicked off the incarcerated community stuff.
Yeah, level 4 prison, highest level.
Well,
guy in the gym at the top, just like.
Is it weird they stopped doing that though? Halfway, like.
Yeah, I actually felt more comfortable with him up there.
It was weird, right? It's like, where is he?
Is he hiding?
Yeah, at that time. Yeah. Is he hiding? Yeah, behind where the toilet is. Yeah. That definitely feels like an odd job in that if you try to explain it to other people, it's incredibly odd.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love their expression. I love it.
Show me. Hey, I work in incarcerated communities. Oh, good.
And you do what?
Good. That's good on camera. Let's do it on stage. I work in incarcerated communities.
Are you okay?
Wow, that was such a great sharp shock.
They can't find anybody else to do it?
I'm the only one.
Can you text me before you get in and when you get out?
Yeah, I can do that. In fact, that's the only time I can do that because they make you leave your cell phones.
Yeah. No contraband.
No contraband.
You have any other odd jobs you can speak of? I know we love Red Ladder. We can talk about Red Ladder all day and tomorrow.
For sure. I'll just say this. The interesting thing about Red Ladder is, and now that I'm currently part of the board for Medical Clowns.
What's that?
Did I not tell you this?
You don't tell me anything. We only talk when we're podcasting.
So Medical Clowns is an organization that is for performing arts. Well, sorry, like healthcare related clowning / like performing.
Is it like Kaiser?
Well, no, it's like multiple different. The organization, kind of like Red Ladder, works with healthcare facilities, Kaiser, Benioff's Children's Hospital, to send in professionally trained clowns to provide humor, like Patch Adams.
Oh.
To provide a sense of levity, to provide some environmental difference so that the patients who really need it are able to relax into therapy, are able to have their mind off of like the dire situation they may be in, so they're not 100% always in that state of mind of like, I'm going to die, or, this is my time or whatever, so that they can experience like a laugh. They can experience what the other part of being human, right? So I'm part of the board for that. And one of the things that I think that stuck out with them is that in the work with Red Ladder, the work is usually never seen by a paying public. It's very like private. It's really for the participants, right? Or in the medical clown, it's really for the patients.
Right.
So that's one of those, like, for me, that's where the odd part of the odd job is when it comes to Red Ladder. It's like, no one sees this.
Yeah.
No one, like, we are ghosts for like a day out of the week.
It's hard for other people to believe that we do it until we get those random pictures every now and then and be like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
Every like 5 years we get one. We get 1 or 2 pictures.
We're in like, with people in the state regulated CDCR blues or whatever. And like, what?
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
That's cool. How'd you get involved with the medical clowns?
I was vouched by Leslie Martinson.
Man, Leslie.
Yeah. So Leslie. I'm trying to figure out like how more I can contribute, right? Like,
are you gonna go back to clowning school? You join the
clowning school? I might. There's some dope clowns.
You'd be a great clown.
Thank you. I think I would want to study. I think I just need to like spry and limber up again because
just like that. I'm already in.
You're already in.
Whatever you want to do.
All right.
I'm amazed by Tasi.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm amazed by you.
Thanks, bro.
You're plenty of things. Like, what's going on?
We could do a bit where you're like a pro clown and I'm like you're like a apprentice. You're like you're never gonna get it.
What does that look like, right? Like wizard and apprentice and like clown hierarchy.
Well, yeah, which is great because I feel like you're a better mover than I am. Mm-hmm. We can both move, but I think you're a better mover than I am. And maybe at the end we like have a routine where like we both figure out, we get together, we're like, we find it.
Well, that's kind of the premise of Clown 1, Clown 2. I think I might be butchering this, but like there's always this like, if you're Clown 1, you're like skilled. Clown 2 thinks they're skilled and they try to do what Clown 1 does. And that's what makes it funny.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Do that. I thought about, Keith Pinto and I had this conversation about like doing a vaudeville / clown dancing act.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a really good hip hop dancer.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Good is an understatement.
Oh, right. Exactly. And I'm fine. I'm a fine mover. And there are certain moves that are, depending on the era, I can kind of do. So I'm like, that'd be fun to like I could do that too.
Yeah.
But, he's always busy. I'm always doing stuff. So
yeah, I think that'd be cool because I feel like my natural state of being when people see me is like cool. Mm-hmm, what if the cool guy is not the skilled one, and I'm just like getting more embarrassed, and you're just like,
yo, that's kind of the whole like Chris Farley,
David Spade kind of situation.
Well, I was gonna say Chris Farley and Patrick Swayze, the Chippendales sketch.
I haven't seen that one.
Well, so like Patrick Swayze's Hot Throb, did all these like dance movies, whatever. So in the sketch, he's there to audition for Chippendales. And he's got his like Chippendale. He's like, do his dance. And then they have another guy come in to audition, and it's Chris Farley. And he's dressed up the same too, but it's Chris Farley.
Yeah.
And he goes ham, like all out.
Always.
Yeah. And the auditioners are like, oh yeah. Yeah. So it's like playing on the.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a great sketch. Right. And so they have like this dance off, and like Chris Farley completely outdoes Patrick Swayze.
He doesn't hold back.
He puts his whole back in there. Yeah.
Back into it. Odd jobs you've had in this career as an artist.
Yeah.
You've done a lot.
Are we going
whatever you want? I don't want
No, well, I was going to say, are we going by chronological from most recent to oldest, or are we just kind of popcorn it?
We going back and forth? We gonna ping pong this? I had a job.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's do that. Let's ping pong it. Okay, right. So let's say my earliest one. I would say maybe it's a very base odd job.
Okay.
I would say 11 or 12. I worked as a stock boy at a grocery store. I don't think I was even getting paid.
11.
To be honest, yeah, because
we're in the Philippines.
No, in Samoa, American Samoa. So my parents worked for this like. entrepreneur who owned like a bunch of businesses, and one of them happened to be like a grocery store / bakery.
Just Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Bringing it back to the books. That sounds kind of like it, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. That does sound like it. That's hilarious. Yeah, no, that's so funny that you say that. Yeah, and that's my rich dad.
Yeah.
No, so my mom worked at the bakery part of it / store, so she was the cashier. My dad was the handyman at the time. He retired actually as kind of the head, like the second, basically that dude's right hand man.
Oh, nice.
To like run a bunch of communities and stuff. But at that time, I don't know if they needed someone or they just needed me to be doing something and not be at home by myself. So I started working at the grocery store. So I would restock stuff, tomato cans. This is where I learned, I think I was kind of partially OCD. Not OCD, that I was peculiar.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to make sure labels are all faced out. Like, I think a lot of kids would just get it on the shelf.
Get it done. You're like, nah.
It has to be like, doot, doot, doot. Gotta be able to read that stuff.
Somebody takes one, you're like,
gotta restock it. Yeah. And I used to love the pricing gun. Oh, yeah, it had a nice like give, like chuk, chuk, yeah. And you would like slap it on the top of the can or the produce. And one of my favorite things that I did at that time, because Samo was always warm, humid, hot, whatever, was I would go to the walk-in freezer that we had. Yeah. And to get there was this kind of like a kind of a shallow ramp, but I would ride up and down when I could the forklift. It's not the mechanic, it's not the engine run one, but the one that you like pump, so you could kind of ride it. I would ride that down, and the one thing I always did, I never got caught. I don't know what knocking on my head is. I would sneak into the walk-in freezer, and I would open up a box of like ice cream, and I would eat ice cream in the freezer while I had those giant, coats on, and I would just pretend I was not on the island. I would pretend I would be in like Alaska or something.
That's so great.
Yeah. So I'll just be there like,
Did you put the ice cream back on the shelf so people can like...
No, I'd finish it.
Oh.
How do you think I have the stomach?
I'd be like, what the hell? That's what I thought.
This is half eaten. What?
Half and half? That's what this means. Dang.
Robbed. So yeah, that was probably an early... Yeah, that's the earliest odd job because I wasn't paid, but I also did work. I also did grocery, like bag stuff.
You got free ice cream, bro.
Yeah, free ice cream. I got a free trip every once in a while to a cold climate.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
The freezer.
Yeah, a freezer.
So and I know I was never scared to get locked in there because there's a emergent, those walk-in freezers. Yeah.
Always have the emergency ones.
So
nice.
And what about you?
All right. Ping pong, is it me?
Oh. Is that what we're done?
I'll match your grocery store with a grocery store. I used to work at Whole Foods back when I was in community college at Dianza. It was a great job, one, because it was across the street from the community college that I was going to, and also I got free parking because I was at Whole Foods, so I didn't have to pay for the parking at Dianza. But it was an amazing job. I met so many people still to this day that I'm connected with, that I worked at Whole Foods with. Yeah, it was a cool.
Oh, that's right.
And it also kind of like kicked my health tip of like where I knew I wanted to be. And I got that job because at the time it was Whole Foods Stevens Creek. It had like a little cafe in the back called Cafe Gratitude. And they had a couple more locations. Cool philosophy of like, they had gratitude bowls. So if like anybody goes, you can like pay what you want, and they'll give you like beans, quinoa, and like kale, like give you something, like so they can feed a lot of people. And my sister was working there, and she put in a referral for me to get this job, and I loved it. I worked there for like 3 years until I went to Foothill.
That's my first taste of Mary's chicken.
Ah, yeah.
Was that specific one?
At Whole Foods?
Yeah, because I went to Dianza for a few quarters.
Nice.
Doing film class.
Nice. Yeah, they have a good film program.
Yeah, so I'd walk over to that Whole Foods, and it's like fried chicken. Mary's, I don't know who Mary is, but this fried chicken is delicious.
Good job, Mary.
Yeah, Colonel Mary. Like, what?
What up, Mary?
This is so good.
Right.
So you were there. That's amazing. Wait, no, hang on.
Well,
yeah, so this Cafe Gratitude.
Yeah.
Funny you mention that because I think I was in Berkeley and there's
they have one in Berkeley.
Yeah, I've been. Yeah, you almost like paid for it, right?
Yeah.
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 Did they stop doing those?
I think they don't have one in Berkeley anymore. I think there's still one left in Santa Cruz. I think that's the original location, I believe.
That's great.
Yeah.
So when I had to move back to San Jose, I would be sleeping on my brother's floor because he didn't have a whole lot of room in his apartment, and I was watching my nephews. It was winter, and I don't know if this is a really odd job, but it was odd in that I had 2 jobs at the mall at Valley Fair and seasonal. And so I was working at Fox Racing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fox.
Yeah. Like the off-road, like motorcycle, motocross.
Yeah.
Very, I don't know, masculine / like a very certain demographic, right?
I cannot see you working there, but like I can see it right now in my head.
Very odd. Very odd. Yeah. And then I also worked at the body shop, which is not on the body shop. Not that one, y'all. What I'm talking about is the British run skin lotion, like facial care.
You would just give me 2 jobs? Just give me back.
Well, because I feel like they are one job. It's at the mall.
Okay. Trying to hit us with a 2-for-1.
A twofer.
Yeah.
A twofer. Anyway, so seasonal. What was odd about it was that because they were I was at the mall all day. Get there at 9 to open at 10. And I would leave there at 10 or 11. Like 11 closer to Christmas time, right? But that didn't leave me a lot of time to go home, change, whatever. So Valley Fair looks much different now than it did back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much bigger now. But at the time, there was this, well, actually still there, this family restroom between those 2 places. And so in between shifts, I would pass out because I was so tired. I would pass out at the family. Sadly, I didn't realize that one of the booths were for like breastfeeding mothers, and it was like the only one that had comfortable seats. So I've literally passed out in there a bunch. I don't know if anyone walked in on me, but I was so tired, bro. But I made it happen, and I lost a lot of weight.
Shout out you, Tasi.
But it was odd. It was odd in that like during the morning, you got all these kind of like guys are like, hey, I need motorcycle gear. I got these shirts for my girlfriend, whatever. And in the evening, it'd be like, you want some lotion on your skin?
Yeah.
Some exfoliant? Let me see your T-zones.
Yeah.
It's just like the whiplash of clientele.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And then you see the overlap. Be like, Bobby, what you doing?
I'm just trying to take care of my skin after I get off the motorcycle.
That's so
good.
I got you, Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby. Well, funny. I used to work at Valley Fair as well. I worked at one of my first official jobs was working at Shoe Palace there.
Oh, wow.
I remember they tried to teach me how to sail. I was 16. I was a junior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time I got money. And I was like, I cared so much about materialistic stuff. So I'd always have like nice shoes and stuff. And like the wardrobe was awesome because it was like sweats and the t-shirts that they'd give you. So I was like, oh, this is comfortable.
Nice and baggy.
But I just hated how upfront they wanted you to be, like selling to people. Be like, oh, you got some shoes. Oh, I think we still got those. And so what size are you? Oh, I think we only got one left in the back. Like, so like salesy all the time. I'm like, I just want to chill. And they're like, nah, you make commissions or else you'll be in the back. So I was like, yeah, I was like, fuck it, I'll just be in the back. So I used to stock boxes and listen to music, Oh,
I love that, bro.
So that was one job that I had. That was like one of my first jobs.
That's one of Kevin Hart's first jobs too.
Really?
It was a suit salesman.
Oh.
So, yeah, someone we'll have to put up later. Yeah. Someone had asked him, like, "Are you really? Were you really?" He's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And so he had him sell him a shoe on the spot on this interview, and he killed it.
Oh, nice.
He knew how to sell it.
Yeah, I didn't listen to any of the game from all the other people because it just seemed so like forceful, and I was like,
not as genuine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have done that for you. Okay, my last one.
Last one, I got hella more.
Oh, okay. Well, you can just do the thing. Yeah.
And then this one time.
Okay, I have a couple actually.
Yeah.
So when I
only one this time though.
Yeah, not a twofer. When I lived in Hawaii, after dropping out of college, my family was like, "You have to find a job." I'm like, "I understand. I do. Yes, I know that. It's not like I'm not looking." And I somehow landed being a tutor for this program called Kumon, Kumon.
Yeah,
so
everyone knows that.
Yeah. So sometimes you drive by little plazas, you'll see them. They're a math tutorship. And if you know anything about me, I don't like math.
I love math.
And somehow, you would have been great. And you had to like be a after school tutor to these kids trying to finish our math homework. Let me just put it this way: the situation did not equal fun to me.
Tasi plus teacher, no fun.
No fun. Not in that situation. I think I lasted maybe a week before I wasn't fired, but I think I just stopped showing up, which sucks for the kids, but also that doesn't suck for the kids. I don't know, but it was one of those moments where I'm like, in my early 20s, it's just like, is this what I want to, like, what is it I want to do? This is what adults do. It's not fun. So I guess I always gravitated toward like, what's fun, right? Like some sort of in like your acting choices. What makes me laugh first?
Yeah.
Or what do I think is exciting?
Facts.
Yeah. So instead of bending to the will of society or like, oh yeah, this pays well, it paid well. I was like, no, I'm not motivated by this.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I just remember being anxious every time I drove up to it. And I was saying, oh,
yeah.
How long do I have to be here?
I feel like unless you have the mindset of like, this money is buying me time/opportunity in the future to invest or whatever, like there's no point of like getting paid more if you're going to hate your life.
Totally. And I didn't have that. I wasn't equipped with that mindset, right?
Of course.
So.
Well, I'm going to hit you with a twofer.
All right, let's go.
Similar in that first area of like being in high school, I used to teach kids at like seasonal workshops, baseball, like young kids.
Oh yeah.
So I went to this place called Hard Key Baseball. I like took baseball lessons throughout the week there, and they had summer camps, and they're like, yo, we got kids that are going to like their first year of majors or whatever.
That's exciting.
So I used to run some camps. That was the first time I ever got to facilitate doing that. And then the other side of that is my mom used to date an ex-49er. Story for a different day, y'all.
Yeah.
But through that, and around this time, they were doing 49er camps. Like it was like preseason, and they would just have like, all the reporters and stuff there, and then like fans who want early access. So they'd have a whole bunch of like bounty houses and games and stuff. So I used to make sure like, kids are playing safe on those like bounty house. There's a bunch of us like volunteers, and then like the cheerleaders came.
But like you were a kid then too, still.
Yeah,
right?
I was like 16 doing that. Like it was like for a whole summer. Just
I see. Okay.
Just like, yo, hey, what's
wrangling?
Up? Yeah, wrangling, kind of like being like, oh, here's this game, and like pretending like the cheerleaders even cared about me. Be like, hey,
Yeah. Wait, I thought you were doing a twofer.
That was a twofer. That was baseball and football.
Oh. Wow.
Sporty guy over here.
I like that. Okay, sports ball. That's a nice one. Okay, well, the last one for me that I'm sharing today is it hasn't happened yet. It will have happened.
You've had way more jobs than this, and I'm gonna keep hitting you until some come out.
I can't remember them all.
Even if it's a freelance job, you're gonna go back and forth with me until the end. That's your improv challenge.
All right.
Keep going.
Okay, so the one that I'm contracted to do but not yet done is this in a few days. So by the time this is out, I've already done it. But I wanted to share it because it is odd and new to me, and that is I'm a master of ceremonies.
Oh, what?
For a local arts organization called Local Color.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so they reached out and they're like, "Hey, we have this annual fundraising gala event. We are, have 31 artists are given a skull, like a blank skull.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's up to them to design it, decorate it any way they think fit. But the theme is like Halloween, and so they're beautiful. So if you're on their Instagram, Local Color, San Jose, they're posting it now, and it's gorgeous skulls. There's one skull where it's I think it's called Pool Thoughts. That was the title, but they created like this empty. They basically sawed off the top part of the skull, and inside looks like a skateboarding pool.
Nice.
There's like a little graffiti. Mind you, these skulls are like small, right? Yeah. So by scale, you're looking at it, go, wow, yeah, look at the graffiti in there. It looks legit.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I think is going to be a big hit.
The vinyl one.
Yeah. You saw that.
Alex created that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it sounds fine. Like, and it's such a vibe So basically, it's this skull that's been sawed in half, of course, and in the skull has been installed the component for vinyl record playing, and so you could put a vinyl on the skull and it'll play.
He showed me he like printed out a whole bunch of like mini album covers. That
Yes,
come with crates and stuff. I was like,
yes, it looks great. I think Deftone was in there or something. Yeah. But yeah, the miniatures look great. And I'll also be doing bid auctioning. So, you know.
Any dates for Tasi? Anybody want to go on a date with Tasi?
Over here to the left. Over here to the left. Come on down. We got 100 over here.
100 over here?
Yeah. So
1,000. Okay.
So yeah. So this week, in fact, has been like kind of studying new skills. One of them is like, what are filler words, right? Like I'm going to be doing this, and also like learning some of the artists and like what they're about, so that on any moment of this event that's like downtime, I can just be like, hey, did you know that the body is made of this many bones? Or, you know, just like random things. So
that's good. That's good hosting stuff to have.
Yeah, I would say so. And it's, I'm balancing the challenge that's evident of that, right? And also the anxiety of like, how prepared do I feel? You know, because sometimes it's like you could be super prepared and you don't feel anxious because you're prepared.
Yeah.
But then so I'm like, okay, what is this nervousness? Is it the preparedness? Do I need to prepare more? Mm-hmm. Or am I prepared? This nervousness is just like, this is a new crowd.
Yeah.
It's not theater people here. So.
Yeah.
Ooh, good one.
A job I had out of college, actually when I was in Foothill, was my first quote unquote agent. Mm-hmm. I used to dress up as Martin Luther King and have
oh my God,
and have like these hour-long presentations to these kids about like my life. And
this is so, I didn't know this. This is so good.
Having to be like, can you say an activist? An activist is somebody who stands up for what they believe in. And, you know, I did the Montgomery boycott and like, you know, it was just a lot. And like, it's fun, you know, just you acting, but just kids are ruthless. You're dead.
Yeah.
You're not here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Didn't you get killed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How? Yeah, they're just ruthless. And like the time I was like, I did it a couple of times, you know, there are a couple actors that I was in this program with that we do in front of these like huge assemblies. And I was like, do I really want to do this? But like, I would talk to my acting teacher and she was like, it's a test because she's trying to hire you. And she's like, she knows people. And like, I just tried to get out of it. And eventually I was like, yo, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to quit acting. I wasn't planning to quit acting, but I just told her like, I don't want to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And that lady used to keep checking up on me because it was her business.
You made it bigger than the gig.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to quit acting.
It was her business. And I felt bad like saying no. Cause it was like, it paid like $50 an hour, but it was only like 1 hour, like these random days. And I was like, just to keep that memorized. And like, it just didn't feel good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna double this one.
Oh yeah, get him.
So you don't have to keep making up stuff. Just kidding.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was an astronaut.
I did. I did an educational tour with TheaterWorks.
That's right.
Yeah, and I played this guy named Frank. And it was a really fun gig. The hard part about that gig was waking up super early in the morning, and unloading and reloading this van before we even performed for these kids.
Because your contract was actor, stage manager, right? Like it was a hybrid, I think.
Yeah, it was like, we had to do everything.
Right, I remember those.
But yeah, it was a fun gig with the people we had. Me and Brandon Leland, shout out Brandon Leland.
Hey, Brandon was, that's how you.
Yeah, okay. he was the main guy. Oscar, I was Frank, and the whole idea was like, what is identity and like how do people feel comfortable and how you should let people do what they feel like they want to do. Like my character Frank. The main guy Oscar in the play, he wanted me to be the knight because I'm a boy, but like I was like, no, I feel like I'd kill it as a princess. He's like, no, you can't. You're a boy. And
right.
He made the girl the princess, and she was like tripping over the dress, and I was like, kept on like hitting myself with the sword. And I was saying like, ow. And
ow.
At the end, you know, he lets me be the princess and her be the knight and him be the dragon, or maybe I was a dragon. Whatever it was. At the very end, we got to see everyone in the roles that they were actually good at. And then the kids are like, wow, they're really great at that, you know?
Yeah.
It was good.
Acceptance
of like, yo, sometimes yo, your man's might be the best princess out there.
Listen, yeah. I had auditioned for Oscar. Clearly, I didn't get it, but I remember.
Jed did it right after me too.
Yeah,
yeah,
that was amazing. They're like, we got to get a Filipino in here next.
Yeah,
get that one.
Yeah, that one.
That's amazing. Okay, well, I guess to go back to the touring thing, I also did a tour in Hawaii.
Oh,
I think it was actually shortly after the Kumon one, where I'm like, I was starting to really be cognizant about, I don't want to do that. What do I want to do, right?
Oh, nice.
So I ended up working for Kalihi Palama Health Center. And they're, as you can imagine, not like Kaiser or anything, but they serviced like this region of Hawaii. And they had this program. It was an anti-tobacco, not anti-tobacco. It was just like being aware of like what smoking can do. So I played a character. I actually played the title character. I just realized. And this kid is struggling with like his grandpa smoking, and like how to tell his grandpa like that smoking is not healthy, And spoiler alert, grandpa dies. I don't know. I'm laughing. It's no joke, but I just remember like the magic of theater, and like when you're performing for hundreds of kids, you're gonna get these comments of like, what? Like, that's not real, whatever. Yeah. And I just remember, we had, I don't remember I forget what it's called in theater, but you basically have like a screen in the back and all your costumes are back there. Yeah. And that's where you don't use the wings in wherever they put you, because you might be in a cafeteria.
Yep.
And there's literally this quick scene change where like I'm on stage and I'm talking to my cousin, I think, in the play about grandpa dying. And then I exit and I come back on and I should be in like my funeral attire. Like I'm giving a eulogy. And I just remember the absurdity of that. Not knowing much about theater and not knowing much about like quick changes. And like, I'm going to leave one side and I'm going to come out somber.
Yeah.
Or like sad. Not even somber. Sad. Yeah. I thought that was super odd. Enjoyable, but odd. And we got to tour that show to a different island. And that was a cool experience. Like, I'm getting on a plane with other actors, unloading. It was like, it's like the adult version of field trips, basically, right?
Adult field trips. Okay. I once worked at a microphone company. Caitlin Papp's husband actually hired me.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Townsend
Eric?
Labs. Yeah, Eric. He was my boss. We would test out this new microphone that could emulate a whole bunch of different microphones. So like this microphone was on like the higher end side, like I think 1500. Mm-hmm. And it could emulate any microphone you want and also combine different ones. So like if you can't afford a $10,000 microphone, get this one, and you can get this one to sound like that one.
Oh, yeah.
Cutting edge technology they had, and I would just do inventory, sweep up around, and like test each microphone to make sure when everyone's plugging in, it worked.
So when they ordered it,
yeah,
it was good to go.
Which I will say that job definitely helped me for when I did. I guess I'll do a twofer. I helped Steven run his merch company in the very beginning and help him do inventory. So I knew how to like.
You had a system.
I had a little system of like packing, like shipping, how to get everything, who to talk to, how to print labels and stuff like that. Like I knew how to do that because I had that inventory job, and I was like, oh, this is just, we gotta create, this many boxes, call USPS, and as long as we use their boxes, we can ship all these for free.
Hand it to them. Yeah.
So it's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. It's cool. Two-for job right there.
Yeah. I can imagine how those skills transfer. Speaking of transferable skills. Oh, is winding up. All right. So this one was mostly in San Francisco.
Okay.
And it was I honestly cannot remember how I got it or how they reached out to me, but my whole thing was a photographer. So, and again, I don't know if this still happens in SF, but at the time there was a congressperson or like a local like politician who was really trying to incentivize opening up school playgrounds on the weekends for families to use, families in the neighborhood. I'm like, that's a great idea. That's cool, actually. And so during this campaign, which I think ran for like a year or whatever, they would hire me to take pictures of the families that were there, just as a, documenting it. Oh, I think I got it because I was doing behind the scenes photography for a couple of short films I was working on, and those guys knew them, and so it was like, do you know any photographers?
Yeah.
So I would take the train from where I was living at the time in San Jose all the way up there early in the morning, and I would get there, and you get there sometimes it's foggy, and when you leave in the afternoon it's sunny. So I just remember being like super bundled, had my camera and all that, and leaving like, this is so hot. But that was that odd thing where like, I don't know where a lot of those photos are as far as where I keep them stored. Yeah. But I ran into a couple that as I was cleaning up a couple weeks ago, I encountered some of them, and I was like, whoa, where are these families now? Some of these like kids that I photographed are probably like in high school now at this point.
Yeah.
That's that weird thing of like,
dang.
Yeah. That was definitely an odd one because it never came back. I wouldn't even say like I learned anything from that. It's just an experience that happened. And how, what it did teach me is like how events like that, if you can somehow make it seem like you belong there, you can almost get away with anything. So that's that sense of like walking with confidence, and certainly a camera helps, right? Like it looks very professional. Oh, I'm here to do this one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is taking me down memory lane. Hella, all these. What did I once do? I once, out of Foothill, there was like a guy there who like was also hiring actors to help with these corporate events. It was like a team building thing, and we'd like do these. It wasn't even anything acting related. It was just like, it felt like not a casino, but you'd like lead like, okay, at this station everyone's gonna try to find something, you gotta act out whatever, but like there's no examples from the actors, just like them making fun of themselves. Like at this station you're gonna try to organize this puzzle. Like it was like something like that. And I remember doing that for a year because it was just like odd jobs, and there was one of them where like I had to dress up to be a zombie and they had to like run away from me.
That's so cool.
And I had to like try to chase these guys. Like if they came close, I always be like, I'm the one that's gonna chase you, and they're like, yeah, right. And I just take off sprinting. And like tag people, and they'd be like,
they were not ready for that.
Part of that, yeah. But yeah, that was one of the jobs that I did.
I love that. I love that you, just to sum it up here in a little way, you were Martin Luther King.
Oh, I got hella more jobs.
Oh, okay.
You said summarize it up. I'm trying.
Well, I'm just thinking about like the characters you've played.
Oh yeah, so far.
Not even in acting.
Yeah.
All right, Martin Luther King, Peter Rabbit, a zombie.
My goodness.
So many.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, you want to just I'll rattle off. What else? I taught kids at musical theater, children's musical theater improv for a summer. I taught them improv. Yeah, it was, and that's honestly.
Oh wait, I know this.
Yeah, I used to love doing that because I had like, I think it started at like a 5th grade level, so it was like 8 to 10, and then I also had like an 11 to 13, and then a 13 to 16, and it was prime ages of like just to like get them started playing games, and then like middle school is where I fell in love with it, and then like the high school I could like give them some more advanced stuff, so I was like having so much fun. Like
you were learning a bunch, I bet.
Yeah, and it was also like post like learning everything from Tom Goff and like reiterating. So I was like,
bro, you made your game stronger by teaching.
Oh, I know I did.
That's amazing, and sharing that skill. Yeah.
I came up with this like analogy of ear, like acting is reacting and listening, and it was like every time you said a scene, within the first. It was in the first minute I do these drills. So like in the first minute, if none of us know this, you have an unsuccessful scene. Or I think it was 30 seconds I put it for. And EAR stood for environment, activity, relationship.
Yeah.
If you're not listening to each other and not setting up, we're gonna and we're gonna ask people if nobody knows, you guys have to get off and somebody else goes on. You know. So it was like cool to train like these advanced actors these young kids that. Food industry. I worked at Zona Rosa for like a summer, and then I had a hard time because I know the owner because I went to school with her son, and she immediately put me at a bartender, and like I didn't know anything, and she was like,
"Oh, so this was before Guapos?"
before Guapos.
Oh, okay.
I was a bartender there, and like I just didn't know that much, and like I was overwhelmed with everything. So I was like trying to figure it out, and like yes, I had training, but I was just like so overwhelmed. So yeah, that didn't work out too much, but I still love Zona Rosa. The food's fire. If you're ever in San Jose or Los Gatos, it's fire.
I'll vouch. Dav brought me a taco or
after our photo shoot.
So good. Yeah. So good. Yeah. Like the depth of the flavor. You know, like there's some tacos or, you know, there's just food in general where you'll bite into it and you're like, oh, that's the seasoning on top. And then there's other ones where like each ingredient has been taken care of in a special way. And I remember biting into that taco going, I could taste like multitudes here. It's not just like, oh, you know, you charred the meat. Yeah. Right? I was like, oh, this is so good. So good.
And then speaking of which, Guapos.
Yeah.
I was a bar back at Guapos for like 2.5 years.
For those who have maybe never gone to a bar or don't know kind of the rankings or the different work stuff, what's a bar back?
A bar back is somebody who preps the bar and makes sure everything's stocked so the bartender can do their job. You know, you got the ice, you got to wipe down everything, you got to take the bills, you got to organize everything, make sure the beer's stocked, you got to wash dishes, you got to just you're the cleaning guy basically, making sure the bartender can like effortlessly do their job. And then sometimes, which at the bar we worked at, they would only hire one bartender and then the bar back would be there, and then if it got really busy, I would take orders too, and they'd train me so I could bartend as well.
So you could do like basic drinks.
Yeah, basic drinks, and then
like a pour here or like
shot here. You know? Yeah. So that was fun, which leads me into the flexible position I am in now, which I run the social media at El Guapos, which is super fun, and I do social media for some theater companies, San Jose Stage being one of them. And then I have a construction company I also do social media for. Super flexible job because it's only like 1 day or two of like pulling up. And then I usually have like a month or a half a month's worth of content.
Amazing.
Just off that. I also worked at a juice bar for like a quick second.
Quick squeeze?
A quick squeeze. Oh, that's great. Why didn't I think of that? Yeah. And I'm not going to drop any names or where it was. But
Orange Julius.
Like, sure, let's go with that. And I just didn't like the way the lady who ran it treated me, because day one she was like, I'm gonna train you. I was like, cool. She's like, here's the list. She showed me all the things I have to do, and like one was like turn on the juice machine. I couldn't figure it out, and she was like, figure it out. I'm like, can you show me how to do it day one? Like how am I supposed to do everything? And
not setting you up for success.
But she was just like watching me. She's like, I guess we're gonna close late. And I was like, man,
that's terrible teacher.
2 weeks I quit because she was like, you have to be sanitary because people who come in here are like, they could be dying of cancer and stuff like this. Like I started this business because my dad was like dying and we extended his life for like 7 extra years. Cause I was like, okay, all right.
That's a lot of pressure for a person who's just trying to be, yeah.
But I learned about sugar cane juice and how great that is for you because it's from a root, not like actually like sugar cane.
It's not fruit.
It's not fruit.
Yeah, we used to chew on that when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And then like the residual juice.
So good.
Wow.
I think... Is that it? I feel like I've worked so many odd jobs.
I feel the same way too, but
the job we work now, teaching improv in prison, is definitely odd.
Well, so I don't know if this is a job. This will be my little cherry, I guess.
Okay, cherry.
So I got into graphic design. I mean, I still do graphic design today. I've done posters and all that stuff, right? As a skill set / entrepreneurial freelance. But how that started was that when I was in college, I used to play a lot of video games, specifically like Medal of Honor, and I would frequently visit forums to find community of, because communication back then was a little different online, and there was a need / interest for individualization within like people posting, right? So on the forums, they would usually have a place for signatures. So if you've never visited one, it could be like a little rectangle with like a person's name, like a badge, and like maybe a GIF in there, right? And so I learned Photoshop, a bootleg Photoshop.
Nice.
So I could design those. So some of the basic things I learned were how to cut out like a character from a video game screenshot to put it on there and have a cool background and like add a text, like the person's name, screen name. But I will say from learning how to do that and getting paid to do that back then, I think it was like $2 a pop. those skills I still use those every time I Photoshop. I mean, they make it easy now, like one button and it's like, did you mean this? Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Right. But back then it was like tedious. But yeah, that taught me that, like, oh, I think I can look back down and go, oh, it's amazing how much you can do in a year, and not to overestimate. There's a different way of saying this, but like, never underestimate what you can accomplish in a day. Right.
Yeah.
If you start now.
Yeah.
Because then a year later, it's like, how did I get this far?
Yeah.
Oh, you started.
And that's like that same thing of like, you're like, oh, I want to learn guitar. And if you don't learn it in a year, you're just going to be 1 year older and not with those skills, or a year older with those skills. It's like, it doesn't matter when you start. It's like, you're going to age regardless. So are you going to have those skills when you're that age or not?
Right.
Also, since you're chairing, I'm a cherry for you.
Cherry it up.
Well. You also ran video over Zoom for a lot of theater companies over the pandemic.
Oh yeah! Shoot!
And you also video edit for some big companies like Coda.
Oh yeah!
Oh yeah!
Why didn't I think about?
I don't know. I guess that's why I'm here. And I'm gonna say, for me, 2 other things that came to my mind that I've done over the pandemic. I taught improv classes to like some young, I wouldn't say some teenagers who were like in the influencer space that were trying to get into acting. So I did some like improv classes virtually for them, and then I've rented out my studio for people to record at.
And that's a job for sure.
Yeah, for sure. To record at, do voiceover, whatever.
That's amazing.
Yeah, when you have an asset like that, it's cool to be like, yeah, come through. Yeah, give me the money for sure.
It kind of pays for itself.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm always like, I always find myself like outside being like, what are they doing there? Like,
I gotta know.
Yeah, I should be using this app for me, What is funny?
Well, I learned so much about you today.
Yeah, same.
Or extra about you.
Before we sign off, you don't have to say what it is, but
sure.
What are some cool aspects you would say, like when you're looking for an odd job, what does it need to have? Like, you'd be like, oh, for me.
Nowadays?
Sure.
Yeah.
Besides paying you a million Sicilian dollars.
The Sicilian dollars, man. Okay, money aside, I think what I'm looking when I look for odd jobs, it's like accessibility. Meaning, can I get there without like any trouble? That's weirdly enough, like I look for the path of least resistance. Is what I try to search for within the ask. Yeah, like, it's flexible. I make it up, or I show up and I just do it. Great.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to show up, have to like jump all these hoops
Yeah.
to get started on something, because
Totally.
that's where I get most anxious. Is this like, can we start yet? I just want to be in it when I get it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's what's up. I say for me, I like to make sure I know the expectations going into a job. Especially with social media, especially that people are wanting it now. I'm like, I have to make sure, be like, this is what I can do. If you want anything more, get somebody else. This is also my price. Like, for this much, I'm just letting you know. Like, I have to make sure you don't be like, I'm going to post one video, it's going to go viral. I don't know. It could happen. I'm not promising that,
I would be very excited down the road to explore that topic with you about, and for you out there, listeners, watchers, let us know what you think too. Some of the prompts or dialogue that you can use to speak with potential employer about, and this is stuff I'm still learning about, like how to lay down the scope and the expectations in a way that is equitable for both parties, right? Like that way, if I hire you, I know exactly what I'm getting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to feel the value of what I'm paying you.
Yeah.
In every, like, I'm not having to like overstep, be like, can you add this? Or like, I know we've edited this 6 times, but it's not, like that's terrible for both parties.
Yeah.
That's a great, I think that would be a great topic to explore.
Yeah. I'm down. I'm definitely down. So the expectations, I definitely need a price where I get excited about. And I'll be like, oh, I gotta do this today. Cause I got asked to be a host recently, and I was like, I don't really host. I'm not a host, but somebody was like, your charisma, I think you would do such a great job. So I was like, how much would it cost me to do this? I was like, it's a 4-hour gig, mandatory be there. I was like, $400. I was like, $100 an hour. I was like, I think I'm worth it, whatever. And I'm gonna have to like learn everybody. So like, that makes it worth it. And the guy said, yes. he ended up canceling on me that weekend, but I was like, I was willing to do it for $400. Like, that's okay. I'll
now
take
you know,
100 an hour,
baseline.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think the price, and then most importantly, flexibility. Flexibility for me because, because there was a social media client I dealt with, and he was upset that I wasn't there as often. I was like,
hire someone.
Yeah, I was like, am I not putting out the content on the days you want? Yeah. What I batch content.
Right.
It's the name of the game. Like, I don't have to be there every day.
They're not as they're still thinking about old terms.
Course.
Yeah. So basically hire an in-house person for yourself if that's what you want.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get you on that one. Oof.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Thank you.
Those are also very clear boundaries.
Yeah.
Whereas
especially being an artist, I feel like you need those, and like working on our communication. Maybe that's another episode of us talking about like communication with your coworkers or like potential clients and stuff like that. So like communication's key for sure.
Yeah, and yourself.
Yeah, know what you want.
The amount of times you go back and forth within your own mind about something.
Yeah.
Like, do I, like.
Yeah, I think always shoot high. For paying, because you never know. They might say no, but then they might give you like way more than you would have done it for. So
totally
shoot high.
Yeah.
The worst they can say is no.
Yeah. Back to the renegotiation table.
Yeah, but my name is Davied Morales. You can find me everywhere at Active Poet.
And my name is Tasi Alabastro. You can find me everywhere at Tasi Alabastro.
And this has been Art Time Job, reminding you to make time for your art and work all the odd jobs you need to get by. And if you've had some fun odd jobs, we'd love to know them. Please comment below. Let us know. And if we think of any more of ours, because obviously you forgot some, I'm sure I'm forgetting some of mine, we'll let you know.
Yes.
Maybe part 2. Who knows? Love you guys.
Thanks for listening.
Also, if you're working an odd job, no, it doesn't last forever. This too shall pass.
This too shall pass. This too shall pass.